All right, let's go back up to the top. It's Thomas.
Hello.
There we go.
Cool. Can you hear me?
I can.
Nice. Um, Hi Angelo. Hi Robert. I
Um,
like your glasses, Robert.
Thank you.
Uh, I wanted to ask for some help with inquiry troubleshooting because I've been doing lots of inquiry practice and there's something that happens a lot where I'll kind of get into I don't know how to describe it. It feels like there comes a point where like overt thinking has subsided substantially, but then there'll be like thought always and identification with thought always creeps back in these really subtle like the thought will take like a millisecond and it'll be like a sentence worth of concept content. Does that make sense? It's like the thought is like a kind of tiny transient impulse, but like what it means is because I'll be following a practice of kind of making an object of the thought, clarifying the thought, and bringing it closer into experience. Um, Noticing the difference between the form of the thought versus the direct sense experience it's a kind of replication of. And to do that with these thoughts, it feels like there needs to be this huge kind of like mental scaffolding erected to apply that process to it. And it's like really subtle thoughts that are kind of um does this make sense? I'm not sure if you're
It does to
following.
me. I
Yeah.
follow you.
Okay. So um that's something that I'd like help with.
Robert, you want to go first, or would you like me to?
Go ahead.
Sure. So, can you say hi real quick one more time, more Thomas, so I can see your face?
Hi. Hello.
Okay, cool. So, I think that it is helpful at this point to see the distinction between a thought and a belief.
Mm,
Um, and hold this kind of lightly too, but a belief is sort of a thought that you're not fully conscious of. Okay.
mm,
You're identified with it. If you're not identified with a thought, it's not a belief. So, for instance, if we'll use like a sky analogy, if you're just the sky and the clouds are floating across, and each cloud is like a thought, and a thought comes through your mind that says, I don't something weird that's just not has no objective truth in the objective reality that you can tell. Like the
mm,
example I use a lot is like I'm the king of England or something. Like you're not going to believe
mm,
that. You know it's a thought because it just has no, it makes no sense. It doesn't have anything to do with what you identify with. But if a thought comes across that's like, every time I'm doing inquiry, this thing happens where the thoughts get so subtle that I almost can't catch them.
mm,
If you don't see that that's a thought, then that's a belief.
mm,
It feels like you have buy-in to it. So as I was listening to you, I could feel the buy-in about this
mm,
story about the process. So this is that like funny place where process or practice or technique or inquiry technique has to turn into a kind of letting go. You have to kind of let go at some
okay.
point. And you have to like let go into the experience
That's
and
that sounds
notice and
good.
yeah, it is great. It's great. You just kind of let go of the reins. So try that. That's it. I don't want to overcomplicate it because I don't want to give your mind something more to chew on. I want to give it less to
Yeah.
chew on. So when you get to that place of like subtle thoughts and so forth, just stop fucking thinking about it. Just relax. Relax
Okay.
in that space of just being awake, mere awakeness. Who
Hmm.
cares? Like lower your standard for what it's supposed to look like. Like really lower that standard and just rest there. And who cares? And say 5 minutes
Mm.
later, if all of a sudden you're just like lost in thought again, okay, start again. Then you start the practice again. The practice is to lead you to this place of kind of relaxation in
Hmm.
consciousness. Okay. Can you vibe with that?
Yeah, and it
That's the
sounds
only adjustment. That's the
appealing.
only adjustment I want to make for you right now. I really don't want to give you anything more complicated than that. I want to just give you something simple to work with. That's all I got.
I'm curious because like after the retreat for a couple of months, pretty much every time I did practice, I would end up in this very kind of it felt like I was right up against the membrane of the fear barrier, and it was a very intense, energetic, physiological experience. And that's subsided now. And I think partly that's what's making me think I'm doing something wrong. I need to refine my technique. I need to concentrate more sharply.
Yeah. That's
Um,
just a belief. It's just a belief.
well,
That memory, the memory of that happening since it's months ago, who cares? It's gone, dead. It's a graveyard. If the fear barrier comes right now, that's what we would be talking about. We're not talking about it, so it's gone. That's the
cool.
weird thing about this whole deal, right? It's
Mm,
like it's very
yeah.
nonlinear. So whatever's happening now is all we are really concerned with. That's the letting go. That's literally the lesson of how to live life too, ultimately. But for
Right.
now, yeah. Yeah, you don't need to extrapolate from your past experiences, including an awakening. Even the even the most profound experience you could probably have in this lifetime as a seeming individual would be an awakening. But even that you
Mm,
got to let go of because it's gone, right? But this is here, consciousness, this clarity of experience in this moment, right? So yeah, and you can rewatch this if you want to get back to that little pointer I made, but it's a simple thing.
mm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome, my friend.
Yeah, I was sensing when you were talking about feeling something in your body and translating it into a thought. I was definitely feeling into your desire to almost thoroughly digest your experience, almost at an
Mm,
intellectual level. And I
mm,
know you're aware of that already. And just that, there's still this need to control the experience somehow through the digestion process, and bring it to an end through that digestive process. But there's a lot of desire to control the experience I could sense and use left. And so I thought Angelo's answer was just spot on in terms of surrendering and letting go there into the experience rather than trying to parse everything down to the most minute detail. I thought that was a good
yeah.
answer for you. So
Cool.
Thanks,
nice.
Thomas.
Thank you. Thank you both.
Good to see you again. All right. Let's see. Let's go to Sam. What's up, Sam?
Hello. Hello, my
Dude, what's
man.
up? What's up?
Hi, Robert.
Hi, Sam. How are
Love
you?
your glasses. Love the pink.
Thank you.
I was just watching a video on how the world has become so gray, like gray cars and McDonald's is gray. And so it's good to see that color palette again. Um, yeah, and I think similar to the last question and maybe the first question. I'm at this place that really reminds me of the whole reason that I started the spiritual journey in the first place, which is I could have the best time or the worst time, and um, afterwards I'd be, I could have a party, have the best time of my life. Afterwards, I would be in a car with this feeling of just pressure in my head and this feeling of like just total tight separateness and textures of childhood and everything just right in my face, just so uncomfortable. And and it's just so obvious to me. Like it's like that's like feels like my suffering. Like it's just that. And when I'm listening to someone, they're talking, it's just like this tightness, this like I don't know. I don't want to interpret it and say separateness, but it's just that. Um, and it's even like I'm investigating it. I've been able to touch into my body more with the circling, and I can sensations throat down. I can feel them. They're quieter, and usually it releases in the emotion really. But with the face, it's this sense of like I can't, it's almost like a sensation, like it's pasted to my face where like I'll feel it like on my face right now and I touch it and I almost have a hard time to discern the sensation between from the paste of like thought or consciousness that's on me. And it's yeah, it's really disturbing to me right now and I just feel really stuck in it. And it's really frustrating me. It feels like I'm back in square back in square one or something. It's crazy. So what are you getting from me right now? What am I not seeing? Am I doing too much? That's what I want to ask.
What you got, Robert?
What do you mean you're doing too much? I didn't follow that part.
Am I thinking too much? Am I overthinking? Am I like what's like I don't know. It feels manifested and physical. I have a thought that says just thoughts, but it's in my face and it's just this meanness and it's just I don't like it and I know I shouldn't like it and that's probably making it stay, but it's just that's the reality of how I think about it or feel about it.
I had a feeling of, I think, you know, I really identified with what you were saying, like coming home from a party and feeling that pressure. It's almost, for me, it was almost like wearing a helmet a
Yes.
long time ago. And it's like I could never take the helmet off, even when I was, this is way at the beginning, over 20 years ago, when I was trying to, starting the process. But it was, it felt like, I had these views that about who I was, and I was wearing a mask, and I was living on the surface, and I wasn't really in touch with myself. I could really, identify with what you were saying about not even feeling sensations, like feeling someone else in your body, and yet being so empathic even at that time, and not having access to that empathic sense because there was so much
Yes.
masking going on. And so it was like there was something in me that was just absorbing energies around me. But my, joy and social, abilities would kind of bring me out a lot into the world. And then I would suffer when I would come back into it and I couldn't find myself again, both being too empathic and too much masking going on. It was a very odd dynamic.
Yes.
And I found the breathwork practice to be really useful to get that energy moving. And I found, that the breath is really some of the most powerful sort of strength in the universe, that it really can move that wall that you're feeling around your head and your face from absorbing other people's masks and projecting your own onto those, and that interface with the world, it does melt. It's and for me, I was just sensing where in my body there was that freedom and that expansion, and contraction, and just staying with that movement where I could feel it. And it felt like a wall just crumbling. And when it fell, I had suddenly access to the universe. I could just feel the energies in the universe, which was what I was born to feel, was just to be totally wide open with no walls.
Mm.
And it was so pure feeling. It felt like I was finally able to be myself, to feel
Yes.
whole again.
I
Uh,
see the purpose of it. It is a wall, it is a helmet, but it has this addiction and it's home. It's like a home that
mhm.
it
It gives a sense of place. I can feel that.
yeah,
A sense of centrality as well.
yes.
You control things from behind, like a self on this side of the world and a world out there. Yeah, it keeps that division there, but you can see that it's false, right? You can see that you're just constructing that. Uh,
Yes.
yeah, so really, really going in, working with something like the energetics of movement with the breath. Really getting behind your those are just, beliefs about the world, that it's out there and you're on this side. Yeah, really like some you say you do circling and yeah, it's really some authenticity practice, really getting in touch deeply with what you're feeling. Really speaking from your heart as all time. Really committing to being as open as you can in your heart with people at all times without interpretation. Try and get that sense even right now when we're talking of that deepest sense in you without interpretation of who you are, who you should be for someone, who you should be right now. Just what
Mhm.
is your deepest sense without
People pleasing. That's what my psychologist and people are telling me. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Thank
keep trying to keep that filter as turned down as possible, and because there's so much energy that goes into producing a self to present to someone that you think they're going to like, and then when they don't like it, and that up and down it's absolutely exhausting.
you. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
absolutely exhausting. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing from your
Thank you.
depths, and I really appreciated meeting you.
Thank you. Thank you, Robert.
Sam, I just have a very simple suggestion.
Mhm.
Having listened to you here and this conversation with Robert, but also just having been around you in social situations as well as retreats and so forth, I would actually consider sometime in a social situation or just in a group of people, um, actually just sitting with all the feelings and sensations in your body and not interacting with people too much at all. Maybe not at all. I mean, to some degree, you may have to say hi or be whatever, but I've done this many times myself in party situations or in groups or whatever, when there's something just wanting to push energy into the head, or it's like overstimulating sort of. I'll just stop and feel what's happening, like feel all the emotions associated with being in that environment. And you may notice you're feeling quite a bit. I'm sure you will. But if you feel pushed up into your head and your face, then you're probably, I think Robert described it well. It's like that's your interface, right? That's the inside versus the outside being really sharply demarcated. And then your sense of people pleasing or whatever it's going to happen that's going to, in a stereotyped way, define the way you're interacting is going to be like very intertwined with that mask. Rather, just come back down into the body and don't give yourself an opportunity to use that mask so much, and let that energy move up in there and solidify itself in the way you habitually interact with people, but rather just feel what's going on and even observe. Just watch how people speak, watch how they move in social environments. I've done this so much. I mean, I can be really, you've seen me, I can be like really fun and joking around with people and stuff, but I can also be really kind of just reserved in social situations. And I've done this many times, and I find it very helpful, for just grounding and learning human nature. You'll see your triggers, you'll see other people's triggers, you'll see what other people are doing that make you want to go over there and engage them, right? To the people pleasing thing. You'll notice the triggers and notice like I don't actually have to do that. And you'll feel emotions, and you'll be down here instead of like right here in that mask. So I would just suggest trying that.
Yeah, I have it when I'm alone too. Like if I'm driving in the car, and it happens at other times too. It is most prominent when like I have a long conversation that seemingly I'm engaged in, and then afterwards it feels very heavy. But it
Yeah.
happens when I'm
Yeah. A
alone
lot of
too.
times when we're alone, we'll be reprocessing relational experiences we've had when we weren't alone. And they all come
Oh,
from childhood, right? They're all modeled in the way we interact with our parents and or don't interact with our parents or whatever happened. And then that's the whole internal family systems thing, right? It just keeps echoing and echoing and echoing. And we develop these seeming relationships that just are built into thought. And of course, they're going to get massively triggered when there are people around. But the echoes of that will be there when there's not people around if they're strong enough.
oh, that makes sense. Yeah, there's like a delay. It's like it's being processed later.
Yeah.
That's why it
Consciousness is
feels heavier.
reflective in nature, right? And so polarized or identified consciousness can reflect forever. Just keeps on doing it.
So am I creating that by doing the people pleasing? It's energizing this mask.
I think partially for sure. Yeah. I do find that habits that we're not fully conscious of, they do. It's not like there's no guilty party. You're not doing anything wrong and you're not doing it intentionally, but those habits are what keep certain fixations that cause the sense of selfing and so forth going. That's what I see. So a lot of what we're talking about is breaking patterns, just like what we were talking about with that intense
Mhm.
itching on the face.
Yeah.
It's a pattern interrupt to sit there and actually not scratch the itch. So for you, it might be just as intense to be in a group of people and not go to engage in the way that feels like soothing for you. Yeah.
Yeah, because I notice and almost pointed this out, either I'm fully engaged or I'm disassociated and like I'm in my safe childhood imagination. So it's like
Hmm.
just being present with the discomfort, but not dissociating and also not
Yeah.
having other people soothe me. So it's not playing either
That's
game.
right.
It's just
Exactly. It's middle. It's like the middle way, right? Middle ground. Feel the emotions. Do it from a place of like heart. You're if because any even if you're not interacting with somebody, if you're feeling what they're feeling in the room they're in, that's empathy. That's love, right? Even if you don't act on it or say anything, but just feel what's happening. You'll be feeling what you're feeling, and you're going to be feeling what other people are feeling.
Mm,
Yeah, and
thank you.
just notice your body actually has the capacity to experience that without having to use a any kind of coping mechanism to discharge anything.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Sure, man.
Thank you, Angelo. Thank you, Robert.
Thank you,
Nice
Sam.
seeing you both.
You got it. Let's see. We're gonna go down to the bottom here, Annie. And where's Annie? There she is.
Hi.
Hello.
Hey. Yeah. Well, I've heard a lot of things that are very relevant right now. I'm just trying to articulate. Um, okay, so for like the last 8 or 9 months, the shadow work has been really intense. Like feels like I'm on the brink of death, kind of intense. Um, it was very romantic before I started doing it. You know, the idea of it. I was like, wow, this is gonna be great. No, it's been it's been hard to. I mean, my whole life has changed. I'm living like in the middle of the fucking country. Like I'm talking like the forest, kind of, not the country, but and the middle of the country, you know. And I used to work with people all the time, and I can barely work with people. I'm working with dogs, which is great. I love them. Um, but you know, it's I don't know. I just feel like I've been raked over a cheese grater and like died 100 deaths, and like literally get woken up at night remembering past life deaths and like reliving them, and like just all this stuff is coming up. It's just continuous. And you know, I'm willing to do it. I'm doing it. It's and even though if I'm not willing, it's already happening. It's like I don't get to choose it anymore. And um so that's the conscious part, okay? But I feel like in the midst of all this, there's moments of feeling the lightness of awareness and um oneness, whatever, however, I don't even know how to describe it, or nothingness. And but overlaying that is this kind of subconscious, or it's like this layer of heaviness that I can't quite access. Like I can access all this other stuff, but this it's really weighty in contrast to the lightness of awareness. And you know, I shine the light of awareness on it. I look at it. I'm curious. I poke around in there, and it's just this I don't know barrier that I can't quite seem to access. And part of it, like when you were talking to the last guy, and you were talking about habitual patterns, I realized that there's this habitual thing that I go to, like that, like I think this is me, like this, I'm this suffering person, I'm this heavy person. And it's like really hard to see through that or get away from
Mhm.
it. So, anyways, I just wanted to see what you guys thought.
Sure. First of all, the dog behind you is really cute. Very cute dog.
Thanks.
Adorable.
Thank you.
Um, yeah. So, do you want to investigate it now?
Sure.
Okay. All right. So you described um, there's something that you can't quite touch, and the light of awareness isn't touching it. And I understand that. You don't need to use the light of awareness for this. Um, yeah. And what what do you think it wants? What do you think that part of you wants? What does it want? What does it want to happen? Just feel into it. Do you feel like you're touching it right now? Good. Stay with it. Just stay with it. Hmm. Total curiosity. Don't have to conclude anything. Good. Stay there. Right there. Yep. Let it build. Let the intensity build. It's okay. Stay with it. Stay with it. You're doing awesome. Yep. Feel it. Mm-hmm. 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 Breathe into it. Yep. Yeah. Just give it your body. Let it move however it needs to move. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Just feel it. Just a little bit of curiosity is all you need. You're doing so good. Yep. Mm-hmm. Your mind won't understand this and it doesn't have to. There's more. You can stay with it. Yeah. Good. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right there. Yeah. Put your hand on it. You put your hand on where you're feeling this. Good. Right there. Yeah, excellent. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. Just feel it. It's been there a long time. It's been there a long time. It just wants to do what it's doing. It just wants to move. Good. Yep. Let it come up. Mm-hmm. Yep. Just stay with it. Just feel into what's happening. Nothing to understand here. Mm-hmm. Good. And if you feel it starting to relax, just go into the relaxation. Just follow it where it's going. Your body knows how to do this. So if it starts to relax and feel like kind of openness, just feel it. Mm-hmm. Good. Breathe into it. That's how you get access. It's gonna come in cycle. It's gonna come in waves, just so you know. So you can continue to do that on your own. Um,
So this is what's my life has been like
mhm.
the last however many months. But
Yeah,
yes, we did this, that even though this is happening, there's a wanting to control it, a wanting to be like,
I
okay,
know.
that's enough now. I've done
Yeah,
it.
I know. Yeah. So with this kind of process, 90%, you can do 90% for a year straight, or you can do 100% and be done with it. It's that kind of a thing. However, it's slippery because every identity. So the thing with you, just so you know that I'm seeing you, is you're having your whole entire identity structure just collapse, like obviously, and that's a very very deep steep awakening. That's you can do it, and you're not the only one that's ever happened to. But just understand it's full on for you, right? So because of that, I'm just going to be really direct. And part of a huge part of what the identity structure does is it prevents you from feeling the thing I'm pointing to. That's what it's doing. That's literally what it's doing for everyone walking around. People are walking around with some degree of unconsciousness. They just are. They don't want to get down to this. Neither does your body because you've been conditioned not to. Your body wants to. Your body does, but the conditioning is just saying no, 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 no. So there's still something trying to maintain control. The good news though is it's not like you have to it's not like you have to like give up control to feel this. You just have to know where to go to feel it. You have to be willing to go there. Control is an illusion. Control is a distraction. Yeah. So you did great in that sort of round we just did. But if I were doing this with you in like a circling group, we would do this for about 45 minutes. And you'd break through some things for sure. This would rewire itself. So you have access to this. That's great. The access is through the awakening, and you have a lot of access. Um, and it's just about really, like I said, like I was saying to you during, use curiosity and gentleness to just find out what it is there that wants to be touched. And notice the moment when your mind says, okay, that's enough, too much, and starts telling you the story about, I've been doing this for a year. How long is it going to go on? That is all dissociation. That's just trying to get out of it. But there might just be just a little bit left in there, but it's going to keep knocking on the door until you finally open that last door. It just will. That's why it can drag on. You're doing great. You're doing better than many people do, because many people fight this tooth and nail, and it's way uglier. I know this has been an intense year, and this isn't over, but I think you're on the downhill side of it. And I would do anything you can to get that last bit of somatic work done. Get to circling if you can. InsideCircle.org. They do online stuff. You can work with some of those guys online one-on-one. But anyone who can really get you down into a somatic process, or just what we just did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've worked with them and they've been great. And I'll see you in 2 weeks too.
Right on. Yeah. All right. We'll see you there.
Thank you.
Nice work. Okay. So let's go to Panos. It's either Panos or Panos.
Yeah, it's Panos. Yeah,
All right. What's up?
Thanks for your work, Angelo. First of all.
You got it.
So I would like to ask you, why is it that anatta flickers? It feels like every time I'm getting cast out of the Garden of Eden or something.
Robert, you got
I didn't
anything,
hear
or you
the
want me
first
to?
word he said. If you could repeat, you said before you were cast out of the garden.
Anatta, like the no self.
Oh, anatta, not self.
Anatta, yeah.
So what's your question about it? You're saying when you're
Why is
reading,
it?
you feel lost, or can you describe
No,
experience?
why is it that it flickers?
Flickers.
Yeah. I mean, why is it that it can be clear for some time, some minutes, some hours, or whatever, but then like this whole thing apparently comes back again, and then again, and that's the painful thing, because if when the freedom wasn't sensed, the contrast wasn't as huge, but now like it happens all the time. It happens daily, and it's like kind of a mini torture or something.
That is
And
definitely the back and forth process when you're working through that the insights get clarified and you get slung back into selfing. It becomes much clearer when you start seeing the details more and more. Just keep doing the work. It's definitely not easy. What is this? I mean, what kind of practice are you doing right now that is when you're working with anatta? Are you resting in unbound consciousness? Is this coming up in social interactions? Where are you feeling these contrasts and extremes the most? And have you how are you working with the selfing and unselfing process right now?
what I talked about wasn't about the formal meditation kind of setting. It was like during daily life, where I would talk to a person, or I would go for a walk, and anatta would be felt or experienced or whatever. But then it would come, the structure would come back online.
Have you ever worked with someone one-on-one to
Yeah,
sort of
yeah.
help you? Yeah, you have. Okay.
Yeah.
And you have some, presumably you have some way of addressing when the selfing comes back online. You either deconstruct the experience or have something that you're working with. Just keep doing that process, and it will eventually completely unfold. But just keep having some patience with that. I feel like maybe you're trying to rush the process, something you wanted to maybe end very quickly. I'm not quite sure. Maybe there's some impatience there with the process. It will. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a sense of centrality. We need to take a spoon and direct it into this mouth at some point during the day to eat. And there's nothing wrong with collecting some story about the type of food you want, but it will all feel, as the Buddha said, it sort of feels like a cow that's been slain in the marketplace with all the meat cut up into the pieces that people will buy, and then the skin or the covering of the animal laid back over it. The whole experience of life, just eventually when the not self is fully realized, just all of experience is just arising in that sort of emptiness, and everything looks constructed all the time. But it sounds boring and dead. It was a terrible image that the Buddha gave. It's actually quite a living and alive process. You're no longer fooled by that. And so just what I'm picking up from you is that you're feeling maybe fooled during certain moments of the day when you do feel solidified in some sort of centrality and identified, and there's then suffering that comes up from that. But the more you keep looking into that process and you are seeing the cracks in the egg, there's definitely it's an unhealable wound when you really see not self, but it's beautiful and it's unhealableness, and keep working through that process that you're doing, and it will eventually completely unfold. But let's see what Angelo has to say.
Thanks, Robert.
Yeah, everything Robert said resonates for sure. My initial impression or my initial instinct was really just to remind you. I know you know this, of course, intellectually, and I'm sure you heard it a million times. I'm sure you also know it instinctually. Sometimes just hearing it one more time or in a different way can help it land. And that is, anatta doesn't fluctuate. It's not a thing. It's just here. It's always here, always clear, always available, pristine, shining bright. It's what's not there though, right? So what causes the sense of fluctuation, and based on how you described it, is the misinterpretation of the nature of presence itself. Because presence appears as these cessation events. Presence appears, let's say, as the non-dual clarity and the mystical experiences and the fluidity of awakening. These references you have from the past. That's how presence can appear, and it also appears like it is right now, and it also appears in pain. That is all presence. All of that is presence. All of it. It doesn't distinguish. So the only thing that tries to distinguish is the mind, is thoughts, and even that doesn't really do anything. Thought can't make reality not reality. It's just that there's something kind of buying into that thought a little bit, and that thing that's buying in is just another thought. So really, no matter how you look at this, ultimately, the insight of anatta is pervasive, indiscriminate. There's nothing left out of it, including everything you're experiencing and everything you're saying. So it's just a bit of a alteration in view, right? Because there's no fluctuation here. Do you see fluctuation? Does that look permanent or impermanent to you? Does that look real or unreal to you?
The hand?
Does it look like a hand to you? Is that a hand, or is that either a hand or not a hand?
Depending on the framework.
Exactly. But is there a framework here? Is this a framework, or is this lack of a framework? Why take sides on that? Don't take sides on that.
It's what it is, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. That's everything. Everything's that way. Every breath, every sensation. That's the beauty of anatta, is it's like it gives endlessly when you don't have expectations and agendas.
But the thing is that the suffering on when the cell structure gets reconstructed,
Does it actually get does it actually get reconstructed? Yeah.
appearing, let's say, right?
Sure.
Or experientially felt. That's what I mean.
Mhm.
I'm not saying that. It is like being in prison. So
Only if you tell yourself it's like being in prison. I trust you. I trust you have this insight because you sound like you do. So I'm going to talk to you from the insight. Suffering to me is the most fascinating thing there is. Why are you trying to cast it out of the inside of anatta? Suffering is the most fascinating thing it is because you just said it. You just confirmed when you said when the self reconstructs, and I said, but does it actually happen? You're like, well, no, it doesn't happen, but it seems like it happens. And that's called suffering. Well, that's fascinating. Why is that fascinating? Because you can't actually find it. So suffering is like the most fascinating portal. It's the most fascinating koan. It's the most fascinating inquiry question. It's fascinating. So be fascinated with it. Don't cast it out. Don't tell yourself that's not presence. Don't tell yourself that's not anatta, because it is. Have you ever heard samsara is nirvana? That's not just a poem. That's not a poem. That's like literally true, right? I could look back and say the suffering I endured until I was 24 years old up here was torture. Sure, I could say that in one sense, and it was in one sense. It was also the best thing that ever happened to me, by far. It was grace. Yeah. So you're to me, just talking to you, you seem like you're at a place that can land at some point. Nothing is cast out of the insight.
Could you
Nothing.
sense where I might be stuck?
Say again.
Could you sense where I might be stuck?
In the belief that you're stuck?
Yes.
That's it.
And also maybe a doctrinal idea that anatta is no self, when really it's not self. It includes no self, but it's also no self is no self, no problem, but also self, no problem. It's broad enough to include all of that. It's a much more interesting insight than just no self. It's much broader. And sometimes we bring our doctrines and our pre-understanding into things, and then we can't get through the experience because we're trying to see what we think we understood already from we think we're going to extract from it. The freedom is beyond just self. It's the freedom to be with self as well.
Yeah, you have to, I mean, ultimately you will have to embrace the conventional. So that's what I'm kind of saying. You don't cast out the conventional. And what's more conventional than human suffering? Right? At some point, you have to become fascinated with every texture of experience, and suffering is just a texture of experience.
But it feels like there is necessary suffering and unnecessary suffering. Like the necessary suffering being like hurting my hand or something, and the unnecessary, the one that is created by the mind, by thoughts.
So you're making a distinction between pain and suffering, and that's great earlier on. That's important earlier on to help people wake up, right? I think you're beyond that. And that's kind of what Robert and I are pointing to. It's like let the insight of, as Robert's saying, not self. Let the insight though really permeate your marrow. Let it permeate literally everything. And then you don't have to make a distinction between self and not suffering and not suffering, and divine mystical experience and mundane frustration. And it's like none of that is necessary. It's just what is.
And like what you're saying, like it's clear during parts of the day.
Mhm.
The rest of the day, it's not.
Yeah.
It feels like
Yeah.
it's not clear.
There's a little bit of a fixation on time here, I think, because I'm talking
Okay.
to you in a very direct way about
Okay.
right now, and
Okay.
from that level that I think we're on the same page about, which it seems like we are.
Mhm.
Then you kind of take it out of time, and you'll be like, well, but yeah, but sometimes. And I'm like, I don't know what sometimes means, man. I only have this. I don't have
But
5 minutes ago.
the thing is, like, the reason for asking this question is not, I mean, that's kind of weird, but it, now at this moment, there is no doubt, there is no question, there is nothing. But if if I go back in time and see the patterns that happened before, I can maybe deduce that in 2 hours or 3 hours from now, like the person suffering might need an answer from
Okay,
Angela.
hold on. That's great. That's great. Let me slow you down a little bit. So you said that right now there's no doubt. Right now there's no doubt, right? But I'm saying, why cast out doubt? Because right after you said right now there's no doubt, then you just told me a doubt. But you're identified with that doubt and you don't realize it. So the doubt you just gave me was, yeah, but there's no doubt right now, but in a certain amount of time, that's a doubt actually. So instead of differentiating doubt from not doubt, let's just say the whole thing is clarity right now. There can be doubt and no doubt, but simultaneously. Everything is allowed. Everything is penetrated. Nothing is off limits. Nothing is missed. This includes everything. When it includes everything, you don't have to prepare for what happens in 5 minutes or 2 hours. Preparation is a doubt, in a way, in the way we're talking.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Yeah, sure.
It's a feel thing. It's a feel thing for sure. So it's a deep visceral trust in the insight itself, in the heart of the insight. Like Robert's saying, it's way bigger than just saying the doctrinal definition. And that's what I'm saying. Let it go into your marrow, like feel it from the heart, the truth of that insight, not up here, because that's a very unstable insight if it lives up here.
Yeah.
If it lives down here, it's very stable. And it includes everything. The heart doesn't say no to anything. Yeah? Can you feel that?
Yeah.
Awesome. And it can be disappointing, and disappointment is allowed. The disappointment is the mind up here. If you bring it up here, the mind wants it to stay that way. It wants to say, no, but at some point, there's never going to be selfing. At some point, it's going to be an unbroken experience of whatever you think it's going to be. But that's up here, right? That's an expectation, an agenda. And that will always lead to disappointment. It doesn't even lead to disappointment. The disappointment is causally connected to it, which means it's right here already. Drop into the disappointment, drop into the sensation, drop into the body and the feelings, and realize it's so big. It's all of it. It's disappointment and love and release and holding and suffering. And it's just all of it. And then now you don't need to differentiate anything anymore, because it's all included anyway. That's all I got, man.
Very good.
All right, brother. Good to see you, man.
Yeah, it's
Thank
not
you very
about
much,
it's not
Andrew.
about
Thanks for
getting and having an insight. Like at some point you got to go beyond this idea that I own this insight, and or at this moment I don't own this insight. You're constructing this whole temporal narrative that's all around possession and acquisition. And when you really have, we call this, you know, upadi viveka, that you're actually in our tradition that you have to go beyond this acquisitional mentality of all your insights and collecting memories of where you are and where you want to be and where you think you are now. I mean, that whole is just a complete fabrication, and you're just creating more suffering on top of your own freedom. And you just realize that suddenly one day, and you'll realize it in your own way, your own beautiful way, and it'll just completely collapse. And the truth of anatta will just be so clear at all times and completely revealed to you that even it's a very advanced layer of creating more problems when you already have quite a bit of freedom. But everyone does it, and keep looking at what you think you're acquiring and when you think you're acquiring it. Look into that and try and get beyond that acquisitional sense.
Thank you.
Robert.
All right, let's see. We're going to go down to Jahida. There we go.
Okay. Hi.
Hello.
Oh God, that was so beautiful, everything you just said. So I've been rambling on since retreat, and it's like a complete shit show since the minute I walked in the door. Literally, like, oh my God, like it's so painful.
Mm.
It's all so painful, and like I'm just still like in retreat, like, oh, like, and it's and this now, okay, and this and here, and like I can't like bypass. So there's a lot of crying, and my kids, I think, are kind of worried, and my husband is like defensive. So I think, well, my question is, I don't need to, I feel like I know this already, but like when the thought comes, it wants to go back to the thought, and then I'm like, oh, thought, oh, and then more tears, yeah, and then okay, oh, body, body, body. Okay, and like what you were doing with the other girl, like, what was the question you asked? What do you want to say? It's okay. I'll help you. Yeah.
You're with Annie. I think I asked, what does it want? What does that
What
part of
does it
you want?
want? Okay. Yeah, yeah. Okay. I like that. Because I think the first question that I was going to ask was like when we did the circling, and it's like, but how do I want to get there like by myself, but it's like only with you, like when that moment that I sat in front of you, and it's just like it just comes, like that. It's like there's Angelo, or sometimes I'll do it like I told you in CAP sessions when it's Kundalini activation. Like when she comes over, it's there, and it's like awakened, but like can I do that by myself? Like maybe like what he was saying with the breath work, or like I don't know, like when I'm sitting and I'm quiet, it's quiet. But is there a way that I can like activate it, you think? Or should I not even be trying to do that? Just stay with like what I've been doing?
I really think that it's important to stay with your intuitive compass, meaning even trying to, let me say it this way. Yeah. Even being sort of having a preoccupation with trying to do shadow work can be a little extra, can be like kind of an agenda. Shadow work
Yeah.
comes like you know this, of course, but there are times when it's coming through there's nothing you can do about it. There may be a block, and there's nothing you can do about that either, but it's coming through. Like you feel something moving. And so I
Okay.
would just kind of wait for that. Now that just to answer the question simply, absolutely you'll be able to do it on your own at some point, for sure. You'll
Okay.
be able to like
Yeah, it's
really complete
coming.
that
It's all
cycle.
coming.
Yeah.
Since I've been
Yeah, and
home, it's like coming
you're in that space
nonstop.
where like a lot is coming and we've unblocked some blocks and now it is coming. And it can be pretty hot for a while. It can be pretty intense for a while. Um, but every time I've interacted with you, I've seen that you're sincere and you're doing everything you can to get out of its way and you actually want to feel it. You want to see what's happening. Like I don't sense a massive fixation that's really repressing anything. It's just habit, like all of us have, right? The habit of um, blocking things and fixating and repression. We all are wired with that stuff, like through conditioning. But yeah, with you, I don't see any big fixation around any of this. So some of it's patience, honestly. Some of it's just be patient, trust the process, trust yourself, trust your body.
Okay, honey.
Um, yeah, that's what I
Right.
sense. And I don't know if you can find some environment where you can do it on your own. I don't know if it's in nature, a certain kind of movement, a certain kind of dance, a certain kind of. I know you do the Kundalini stuff. Um, even a certain kind of emotional attunement you might be able to find like in yourself, like what kind of emotional attunement or a simple question can really mobilize that energy. um, Let your body show you the answer to that. Your body may be able to demonstrate to you what it needs to kind of mobilize and activate that. And once you start to sense that those pathways, how do you mobilize and activate the pathway, it will get better at it. It's kind of like once that part of you that's kind of repressed and fixated, once it knows that it can mobilize, it knows it can get to the light of day, it tends to be like, okay, here I come again. Like, are you ready? Here I come. And yeah, just trust it, attune to it, resonate with it. And for you though, patience. Some patience is important because like I know it's totally intense. I know it's disruptive in various ways. Um, but it's finite. You're not going to be doing this the rest of your life.
Okay, and I don't need to follow the thoughts at all.
Follow
At
the
all,
what?
right? I don't need to follow the thoughts. I don't need to figure anything out.
No,
I
no,
mean,
no, no, not at all.
I'm talking specifically like more with the dynamic with my husband because like
Yeah.
sometimes I have, yeah, the thought says, well, you need to figure this out for your marriage, like you better figure this out. You better talk to him. You better fix this. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And but he's not pressuring me or anything, but like I
Yeah. I
don't
mean, and
need to
that
do that.
I don't think you do, and I think that part of the dynamic it's might be a little bit of a distraction. Sometimes we find many ways to dissociate from feeling, right? From really getting to the deep stuff. And one of the things we often use is roles, like roles, the role we play with a partner, with a person, with a mom, with a dad, with our kids. We can let that be distracting, meaning like, of course, you're going to take care of your responsibilities, but beyond that, sometimes we actually get distracted with that. Like, you don't need to soothe your husband. He's responsible for his own emotions, and that's all fine. Part of it may be he's responding to you, but part of it may just be he's having his own experience, and that's fine too. So there may be a part of you that would normally go to try to soothe him or make him understand or whatever it is. And that could just be a little bit of a distraction. And you can just check in with yourself. Go, is this a distraction? Do I actually need to go get preoccupied with that right now? Or can I just really drop into this totally? And he's going to be
Okay.
okay. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Hi, Robert.
Hi. Yeah. Can I say a few things? Or I don't know your practice as well. I don't know if we have time, but it was very beautiful. I just wanted to maybe share something that I was sensing into. You know, for me, when I was going through, the process that you're describing, I developed my pleasure body at a subtle sense, very in a very fine-tuned sense, because even when Annie was talking earlier, I noticed after her sort of resolved, there was I sensed sort of energetic sparkles there coming in, and it's okay to have that clash. There are swells in the wave. They take you really low at times, but then they rise really high too. And sometimes we want to we think our we have to hit the ground, and we get so too focused on the depths and the pain body. But it helps to bring the pleasure body, when it's showing itself, to really allow it to really express itself fully. I like that you have a breath practice and that you're interested in Kundalini. I like what Angela was saying about finding your way through that, whether it's through dancing in nature, whether it's being in nature, but finding your inspiration, finding your communication with your pleasure body, and letting it. When my Kundalini was triggered at its utmost, was when I was really fine-tuned to the energy body, and I knew where to put my attention and to allow that pleasure to spread and expand, and not fear that expansion, to be total pleasure and to just completely dissolve into that joy, because it's a way of experiencing not self as well, through that experience. And especially having them so close together, it'll make you feel insane, completely insane at times, when you can feel just incredible despair. And a second later, you can feel the most extraordinary sparkles and joy and freedom in that. And believe me, it doesn't change after not self. Those clashes can become very quick. You can feel intense grief and intense joy seconds later, but there's no disassociation or incoherence going on, or fear, or that you're going crazy, or no narrative. Things like that can even happen after the realization of not self, and they can be it's good practice to actually be doing that process right now. So I like where you're going and the way you're talking about that, Jamira. So thanks.
Thank you, Jahida. Okay. Let's go up to Frank.
Hello.
Hello.
Angela, Robert, thank you very much. So my question is also about the shadow, or yeah, mostly when the shadow comes out of the shadow, it just becomes the most noticeable thing in your experience, basically. And yeah, I guess my question is about whether what I've been doing has been enough or proper, or whether it should be, I should look for a different approach depending on what the thing is, what I'm dealing with. And basically, it's like this very heavy no, like a deep, dark, heavy, mucky no. That's just kind of what used to be very, it's been there for a very long time. I know that now. It used to be very unconscious, but always there, always kind of influenced me like the shadow. And I think since 7 months, I've become aware of it. And since then, it's just been growing, basically. And the last few months, it's been there very often. And it seems to be tied to, well, it's like it's saying no to so many things. It's saying no to the world, it's saying no to specific people, it's saying no to me, but especially it's saying no to the unknown. I think it's saying no to any situation or thing that could put me into danger of failure, mostly I would say. Maybe there's other reasons what it's doing, but mostly danger of failure, danger of being abandoned. Yeah. And yeah, to be honest, the reason why I'm asking about this specifically is because I'm really, really tired of it. Like of this, it kind of feels like Frodo carrying the ring, and the closer he gets to the mountain, the heavier it gets, and he's like, "Ah, Sam, it's so heavy," and it's a bit dramatic, but that's what it feels like. And there's a part of me that just really wants to drop it into the fucking mountain and be able to live my life and like go into the world and kick ass and do nice things and not have to carry around this fucking heaviness all the time, So basically what I've quite intuitively tried to do about is just lie down on bed and go into it. And there's a few waves of emotions. Like it's not per se, it's not emotional inherently, I would say. In its neutral state, it's more like a very dense energetic mass. But it can take the tone of shame and anger, but mostly if I really go into it, it turns into sadness. And there comes a movement upwards. It's like it's mostly in the chest, but there comes a movement upwards. It wants to cry, but it cannot cry. It's just start yawning, but it cannot, no actual tears can come out. Or it wants to cough, like a dry cough that happens. And now recently, very recently, not when I'm really focusing on, but during the day, but not when I'm lying on bed, but during the day, when I really stay with the no, it turns into like this retching almost, like Kim, the first guy who was talking, going up, and then not nothing actually comes out, but that's the movement that it makes. But yeah, I've done that I think 4 or 5 times that I really lie down and do that, but doesn't feel like there has been any sort of conclusion, and it's still just as strong and seemingly limiting. But now, yeah, reflecting on it during this washing, it's also clear how badly I want it to be gone. So, yeah.
All right. Robert, did you want to start, or would you like me to start?
I have some thoughts as well. Go ahead, actually.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I have some bad news, but I have to be honest. And that part of the bad news is when you say like there's this no that says no, I just can't wait till I'm done with that to go live my life. That's never going to happen. Your life isn't going to be lived after something. Like your life is only lived right now. So the no is actually the way to live your life, to feel into the no somehow, deeper into it. You know what I mean? Like it's just the mental part of this. The mental part of this is just tries to dissociate and just go, God, if I could just go out and get to whatever, I go live my life, go get married, go do the things I want to do. But this thing right now that's here, presence that's here right now, if this just wasn't here, I could go do that. That's a daydream. It's not reality. It's dissociative, and that's what's making you suffer. That is what's making you suffer, because that thought has been there 150,000 times in the last year and whatever. Like that's what the suffering mind does. That's what the dissociating identified mind does all day long. And the accumulation of it is what feels like the no. The accumulation of all those little acts of trying to dissociate from which you actually can't dissociate from. It's impossible. Really, that's the insight of non-dual and no self and all that. But what you can do is start with just being like as honest with yourself as you can and realizing like, okay, there's no life out there where I escape from presence. Presence comes in whatever form it's coming in. And sometimes it feels like an intense sensation. And sometimes it feels like relaxation. Sometimes you don't even notice what it feels like. Sometimes it feels like ecstasy. Sometimes it feels like jealousy. Sometimes it feels like sadness. It can feel like all kinds of things. And really, none of that is a problem, really. What makes it feel like such a problem is the dissociation. The very seemingly innocuous thought that's like, oh, but let's just think about this for just a second. Let's just imagine what it's like if this wasn't here. And it seems so innocuous, but it's a credit card with like 35% interest. You know, that for a second it feels better, but a lifetime accumulation of it feels absolutely fucking horrible. That is suffering. That is anxiety. That is depression. That is constant seeking. That is constant disappointment, right? So seeing that the more you really buy into that thought that's trying to get out of this moment, even though I know the moment's intense and heavy and all of it, and I also know the thought can feel good. It can feel good to fantasize a little bit or to imagine. But when you're talking about the kind of core issue of realization, it's not worth it. It's not worth it to try to run from the fact that this is just one more texture of presence. Yeah.
Well,
and
it's like,
and the intrinsic, one more part of this though, the experience itself, the sensation you're feeling at any given moment, there's nothing intrinsic to it that's saying no. I promise you. What's saying no is the accumulation of hundreds of thousands of trying to get away from it.
Mm.
That's all it is.
And would you say that it would be a good practice to kind of live what you say that it's not actually a no? For example, for me, it also comes up if, for example, I want to learn a new skill. I'm like, there's something in me that wants to do that, try something new, and then the no comes up. And
Mhm.
the thing that actually makes it a no, the thing that actually stops me from going into that unknown, going into that place where I could feel I could encounter a me that fails, is actually believing that it's a no. The right thing would actually just to like simply go on with the thing and then like switch, like take it as a meditation and feeling into the different parts of that experience. Then it's like, okay, now I'm doing the skill. Now I'm feeling the no. Now I'm feeling the joy that might also come up. Would that be I'm just
Yeah.
wondering if that would be a better way than just like going to lie down and just feel it purely, because that seems like it hasn't done so much to dissolve it or anything.
Definitely give it a shot. Once you're really established in the sense, the felt sense, then this stuff won't be so much of a problem. At some point, it won't be any problem because the felt sense
Mm.
is so stabilizing in a way. It's so profound and so always available, and it has this kind of built-in equanimity, and it supports total rest, meditation, samadhi. It also supports movement, and it supports new things and new experiences and learning. It supports everything. It supports emotions. But when you're established up here, it just constantly lies to itself. It says, "Oh, but let's dissociate a little bit because that makes us feel better for the moment." But then I feel horrible because I'm saying no to everything, and then you get into analysis mode. Instead, it's like, wait, let's just drop into this, and not in a soup. It doesn't have to be in some super intense way. Sometimes it is, like if you're doing shadow work in a group or something. But other times it's really just, okay, let's just feel what I feel down in here. What do I feel down in the body as I'm taking a walk, as I'm talking to somebody? And I don't mean to analyze what you're feeling. I mean to feel what you're feeling. And just staying with that, you will reverse that habit of dissociating. And over time, that no can slowly melt until there's just no sense of no anymore. For sure. So yeah, do it in small increments. Do it gently. Do it with curiosity instead of intensity, and struggle. Nothing. There's no hurry to any of this. And your heart is in the right place. Obviously, you have a heart-based commitment to this. Clearly, just talking to you, I can tell. So trust
There's a lot
trust
of pain in
that.
the heart, like physical pain,
Yes.
even like very sharp pain
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. If you have a big heart, then your heart can feel a lot of pain. Hmm. Yep. Hmm. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna turn you over to Robert.
Yeah, I would just add just one simple thing, Frank, that the there's a inflexibility of perception that I'm sensing in you, that um, and just working with that inflexibility by trying to just use your imagination and look at something from a completely different angle, just adding some creativity component into it. Whatever is coming up for you right now, if it's you're constantly feeling like you're looking out of your head through your eyes, imagine what it would be like if your eyes were in your butt and looking out at the world. Something to make you laugh or to lighten the experience or to just shift some perspective of how you're looking at the world, I think can be incredibly fun. So I would really encourage you to use your creativity as much as possible and to play with the experience. I know everything that Angela is saying. I agree with 100% that and it's definitely I sense you're running from the felt sense here, and that you don't want to really dive into the experience quite a bit, but also just play with whatever, create a new way of looking at every situation if you can, and be I don't know, read about other people's experiences and or just imagine a completely different realm and just play in that realm and try and see yourself from a completely radically different perspective and play with as much flexibility as you can. And that I think will help loosen up that no, there's definitely a very strong controlling sense that just doesn't want to give in and let go, and really actively working with playtime.
You mean combining the like feeling the body while doing an imaginative practice?
Yes, that would be the ideal way to bring them both together. Yeah, it would help you get out of your head, I think, and into the experience. Um, you're you're kind of testing the waters of the felt sense, but you really don't want to jump in. And I think by using imagination and creativity in embodying that experience of play, I think will help create some flexibility in there to help you break you free from that and to help you really experience, it's almost like a role play of of joy, of creativity, and I think it'll lighten things up.
Yeah, I I can feel what you're saying.
Okay, good,
Okay. I will try that. I haven't
great.
heard about this before, so I'll try it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Because I used to be a very creative, like my mom, my parents would always say like, "Oh my God, you were saying so much shit when you were a kid. Like you were so creative." And it feels like this has
bring it back.
dried up a bit in the last years. So yeah, maybe I should try this and see what happens. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the path is so much about perception. It's so much about seeing, being stuck, having certain views about, oh, there's one right perception of wisdom. There's one way of getting out of this. It's really just loosening that up completely and seeing, playing with different perspectives in the world, seeing yourself in another person's eyes, looking back at you. However you do things normally, do them the opposite. Play opposite day in your head until it breaks loose and that creativity comes back.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah. All right. Well, we're at the end of our time. Robert, thanks again, my friend. I'm really, really pleased to have
Awesome.
you.
So
Yeah.
pleased to be here with all of you. What a pleasure. I'm sorry we missed a couple people, but what a pleasure. Thank you so much. I love you all.
Yeah. And thank you all for all of your support. I really appreciate it, and keep the channel going. And we will see you all again next month.